set up here and we will get going on our weekly rapid fire live Q&A. I can tell you that today was a Monday. I can tell you that. It did not go great at the beginning, but somehow, and I don't know how it happened, but somehow it all worked out. I don't know how that happened. So that's pretty good. Give me just a minute and we will get started. Obviously, welcome everybody. This is our weekly live that is rapid fire, so I won't be reading all the comments. I'll only be reading the questions tonight. We'll try to go as quickly as possible. If you have any questions about raising quail, hatching quail, brooding quail, quail colors, quail for profit, quail, feel free to comment in the comment section. And if you can, put a couple question marks and or explanation points at the beginning and or at the end so I can see it a little bit better. Also, if you have any questions about Quail Con, feel free to ask about that as well. We got, I think it was 8 things off of our to-do list today. So it was I don't know how it happened. Like I said at the very beginning, you might have missed it, but it started off real bad. But somehow we just kept trucking away, and about an hour ago I got the whole list done for what I wanted to get done today, except for one thing, which is not the end of the world. I could pick that up. So still a lot to do, but I'm glad we got all that done. No announcements tonight, except for we've got a few tickets left for Quail Con. So if you have not gotten your ticket yet and you can make it, we'd love for you to be here. It's September 3rd and 4th. We've got Chris from Slightly Redneck coming. We've got Whiskey Tango Farms coming. We've got George, which is my right hand. He'll be speaking. We've got MPIP Head Honcho coming. She'll be talking about biosecurity, the avian influenza, how to keep your covey happy and healthy and safe and secure, and a bunch of stuff like that. I'll be speaking, and I've been working quite a bit on my speech, so hopefully you will enjoy that as well. Dale's Quails will be here. He'll be speaking, as well as also having his product here. Wynola Ranch will have their product here. Verna Young will be speaking. She'll have some of her product here. I think my daughter might be selling some stuff. I guess. I don't know. I think she has some available. I didn't think she was going to do it, but I was told I was wrong. So we've got a lot of cool stuff. We just set up a tent. At the end, I'll show you out my window. We just set up one of the tents that Ed Got Bait donated to us for Quail Con. So that's up because it could have waited, but I just want, if it can get off my to-do list, I want it off my to-do list. I've got a lot to do. So we put that up today. In case we were missing parts or needed something, I have until Wednesday to change the order on what I've already purchased for the rental. So here we go. All right, enough talking. I'm sorry. This is rapid fire Q&A. Ask your questions. I'll get to them, and we will go fast. Again, this is rapid fire, so I won't be reading all the comments, but everybody that's here, welcome. We're very happy you're here. But I will only be reading the questions, so if you have any, put some question marks, just like HJ just did, and I will see those clearly. And if you have questions about hatching quail, raising quail, brooding quail, quail colors, quail for profit, whatever, troubleshooting quail, whatever the case may be, if you have questions, Quail Con, feel free to ask, and we will get to it. All right, I'm done talking. We're just going to get into it. Joy is in the house. Welcome. Are you ready to receive wisdom from Quail Master Zach? Thank you very much. Welcome everybody here. We're all glad you're here. 19 days. Oh dear God, that scares the living daylights out of me. Okay, let's see. G. Ruben says, I have 2 young males that just reached loud maturity that I'm going to whack. There you go. Foster Farm says, do you see the guy who posted in the Quail Facebook group about his homemade plucker? I got him to send me a feather plate so I can build my own. Very cool. I'm not a big fan of the pluckers. I mean, I haven't seen that post and I haven't tried a homemade one, but I prefer skinning them. It's just a lot faster for me. Um, Foster Farm says, Zach, I always miss the first few seconds of being on because of ads playing. Yeah, I don't really say much for the first about 30 minutes. Whatever I do say, I repeat myself. So you're not missing anything. Woman of Spirit says, I have 2 incubators full of eggs. They go into lockdown on Friday. I am detecting a horrible smell coming from one of them. What should I do? I have 2 incubators full of eggs. They go on lockdown on Friday. I don't know what today is. Monday. I would see if you can visibly see anything pussing out in the smelly incubator. If you can visibly see it, open it up and take it out real quick. If you cannot visibly see it, wait until Friday when you put them into lockdown, and then you can find it then. But I'm afraid I think you could do more damage by opening it up and trying to find it rather than just letting it be. But definitely get it out at lockdown. If you can find it visibly without opening the lid, then you can do that. And then just open it real quick and grab it. Katrina, good question. Katrina is in the house from Gilroy, California. Welcome. Pris K says, if we wanted to give a couple extra males away to a friend as pets, what number ratio or other things should be done so they get along? A couple males? No matter what you do, I think that you're going to be taking the risk. I mean, you still do 3 quail per square foot, but they're males. If you put 2 feeder, let's say you give them 2 males in a cage. If you do that and you put 2 feeders and 2 waters in there, they might leave each other alone. I think it's a risk no matter what if it's just males. I think it's possible, but I think that you can't guarantee it. Nishirama is in the house. Welcome. Essentially, Kimberly says, my eggs went on lockdown yesterday. Fingers crossed that we have some babies by Wednesday. Well, good luck to you. I wish you all the best. HJ is in the house. Why do you prefer a heat lamp than a heat pad? Do I need to Govee inside the brooder to check the temperature? Okay, so no, you do not need to Govee inside the brooder to check the temperature. You can. It's not the end of the world, but you don't need to. The best way to do it is, one, watch the video I did about brooder basics. It's in the playlist on our YouTube channel called Best Practices. Yes, that's what it's called. And then there's one about the brooder process, and it kind of goes into it. But long story short, there's 2 ways you can do the brooder process. One is the technicality way, which is it's 99 degrees the first day you put them in there, and then it drops a half a degree each day. So 99, 98.5, 98, 97.5, 97, so on and so forth. That's a lot of work, a lot of, adjusting. Best thing to do is put them in there. If they're cuddled up and right underneath the heat source, then they're too cold. If they're cuddled up real far away from the heat source in the corner, but still piled up on each other, they're too hot. And then if they're scattered just everywhere and everybody's just doing their own thing, it's just right, just like the 3 little pigs. And why do I like a heat lamp than a heat pad? Okay, so that's a really good question. I do very large quantities. So a heat pad just has never worked for me because I've always done, I haven't always done large quantities, but even back then we did heat lamps. Not saying that's the best choice. I'm just saying, if you're hatching out, let's say you get 110 count and get 90 to hatch. Having a heat pad or one of those heat plates for 90 quail, I mean, it's just, you're going to need multiple of them. And then after 3 weeks old, it's just, doesn't work great for quail, in my opinion, with the amount that you're hatching out and how fast they grow. Jennifer says, what's the ideal router temperature for new hatchling? We just talked about that, the brooder process. There you go. Yep, got it. Wayne says, do bigger eggs produce bigger quail? Nope, not necessarily. Eggs they do, but they have, it's less than 10%. If I had to guess, and I don't know, maybe 7% effect on the size of the quail. The egg size has about a 7%, give or take, effect on how big the quail are going to get. It's really doesn't matter that much. It's a good question. Rubber gloves, face mask. I'm going to be hunting the bad egg. There you go. Rose Wilson says, thanks for helping us all. Thanks for helping us, all of us from Warm Springs, Arkansas. Well, welcome. We're glad you're here. Is there a standard of perfection for quail? There is not, and I'm very against it. Yeah, I think that when you go down that road, then it starts getting into the world of the chicken. And then once that happens, then there's going to be all these regulations. And then, people in the city and people in city limits and people in, communities and people in HOA areas are not going to be able to start raising them because now they're on the books and now there's regulations and and I really like Eternix quail to be under the radar, and they're not showbirds. They're good, healthy, self-sufficient animals is the way I look at it. Now, I could be completely wrong, and there's a whole group of people that disagree and think that there should be show quality. That's fine. Do your thing. Not standing in your way. But I like the aspect that almost anybody can raise them, and it scares me going down that road that we're opening the door for, we're opening that door for I don't want to say how I want to say it, for groups to start regulating that. I don't know how to say it. Linda, it's a good question though. It's a very good question. Linda says, hey Zach, I've seen the playlist on weights on jumbo quail. Great stuff. Are you planning on doing another one for the standards? I am. I am going to get back. So if you notice, right after Quail Con till about 3 months ago, I was all about YouTube. I was trying to give you as much information as possible. The past couple of months, I have almost stopped completely. There's just too much going on. I just don't have the time. After Quail Con, I'm going to get back at it, but Quail Con takes a lot out of me. Not only am I running the business, not only am I trying to run this farm, but then Quail Con on top of that, and I've got to order all the stuff, and I got to make sure all the speakers show up, and I got to pay everybody, and I got to order the rentals, and I got to make sure the food trucks are coming, and I got to get the place ready, and I got to there's something had to go, and so it's YouTube videos and things like that until after Quail Con. But yeah, I will be doing a ton of videos. I've got gobs and gobs of stuff that I want to do. I can't find the time, and until I can do it right and not rush it, then I just don't want to do it, because I noticed that I started doing that. You probably don't care, but I'm going to say it anyway. I noticed that I started like rushing the videos, and I was either leaving stuff out or I could have presented it better. And I just don't think anyone benefits to do that. I'd rather just wait, and you don't get that information for a little bit of time, but then when you do get it, you get it exactly the way that I can give it to you, the best way I can. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming out. So yeah, that'll be coming, and thank you very much. Jennifer says, my Govee is rating 2 to 3 degrees lower than my incubator Nurturite 360. That makes sense. I have it set at 100. I hate to set it at 103 to keep it closer to 99.5. Are the Govees pretty reliable? They are. So I would recommend putting it at 102. I have noticed, so the Nurturite 360 that we ordered and tried out for everybody and did the video on was 1 to 1.5 degrees off. Most people that contact me say that it's about 1 to 2 degrees off. So that you're a little high as far as 2 to 3. Well, you said 2 to 3 degrees. Yeah, I'd put it at, let's see if it's 2. I'd put it at 101.5, and I think you would be safe no matter what. I'd put it at 101.5, but I'd do that pretty quickly because temp is very important. False Farm says, can quail stay by themselves as pets, or do they need a buddy? That's a good question, and they are social creatures. So you can keep just one, but typically they like to have a buddy, but not absolutely necessary. G. Ruben says, thumbs up, everyone. Absolutely. Support the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Priske says, about the males as pets, would one male be okay by himself then? One male as a pet? Probably, yeah. Yeah, I would say that would be a better idea than having multiple males in there. HJ says, I approached a reptile store if they'd be interested in purchasing quail eggs, but he said he's only looking for fertilized eggs. Is it common that reptiles only eat fertilized eggs? Yes. Yep. Most reptiles that will eat the eggs, such as monitors, lizards. I'm missing a big one. What is it? It's like a monitor and lizard. I can't think of the name of it. Tegu. A tegu, egg-eating snakes. Most of them actually like incubated eggs, like balutes. They'll go crazy after those. Usually, the reason that they like the fertilized eggs or partially incubated eggs is because of the smell. When you give them unfertilized eggs or incubated eggs, incubated eggs, the smell's not as attractive. I mean, they'll eat it, but usually you have to open it up for them a little bit. Whereas if they're partially incubated and or they're fertilized, for some reason they can sense that a little bit better, and they're more prone to do it by themselves without opening the eggs and making a mess. It's a good question. Thomas says, am I okay to keep breeding from the original quail I started with, or should I consider bringing in some new birds to reduce inbreeding? It's a good question. I recommend if you're just doing, like one cage and you're raising them for yourself, meat and eggs, things like that, every 3 years, just bring in some new blood, some new males, some new hatching eggs, whatever, just refresh it. But that's about every 3 years. False Farm says, is there going to be a talk at Quail Con about how to structure amounts to offer reptile stores or bigger commercial accounts? Is there going to be a talk at Quail Con about how to structure amounts to offer reptile stores? I mean, we could kind of talk about it one-on-one within the 2 days that I'm here. I'm not going to be talking about that for one of my speeches. I don't really like to get involved with that side. I mean, if you've got specific questions, that's fine. I really don't like to tell people what to sell them for because everybody's price is different. It depends on how much feed you get and what discount you get. It depends where you're at. Your feed in New York or California or one of the major cities could be, $25 a bag, but you might be, in Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, and you might be right next to a feed store that will work with you, and you're getting it for $14 a bag. So that $10 a bag makes a huge difference on your price. Plus, buying a Happy Meal in New York is like $10. Buying a Happy Meal in Ohio is, I don't know, like $4, $5. So I mean, the price really fluctuates per region. Let's see. HJ says my pen ground. I have a 1/2-inch galvanized wire with 3-inch dirt and pine shavings. Do you recommend a PVC coated wire to prevent bumblefoot? My quail dug a lot and now the bottom wire is exposed. Galvanized wire with 3 inches of dirt and pine. Oh, okay. 3 inches on top. I gotcha. It's a good question, and I'm going to kind of confuse you on it, but I'm not going to try. So, the best practice is always to do PVC coated. It's best practice. However, the way that you've got it, they're on the ground, it's 3 inches of dirt. Yes, you're going to see the wire every once in a while because they'll dig and nest and play and things like that, but the majority will not be uncovered. And so I don't think it's worth doing. So I'm kind of contradicting myself. I wouldn't do it, but the best practice would be to do the PVC coated, but I wouldn't do it with how your setup is. I hope that makes sense. HJ says, my quails are peaceful when they don't see me, but the moment I come closer to the cage, they start hopping around and act anxious. One even starts pecking another quail. Are they scared of me? Yeah, they're not familiar with it all. The best thing to do is get on a routine and a system. And I actually talked about this to somebody else. They tried it and it's worked out great. Try to do something before you get to the cage. So it sounds as though that they're outside. Usually I would say like try to turn the lights on for a minute or two and then walk in, like have it on a timer. Try to do something to make them aware that you're coming instead of just going. I don't know what your setup is or how you can do that, but like, if they're in the garage, just barely open the door, turn on the lights, and then come back a couple minutes later. That helps a lot. If you've got a fan, turn the fan on before you start going in there. That helps a lot. Just something to let them know, like, oh, okay, here he comes, or here she comes, or whatever. Let's see. We loved your shirts. When are you going to have new ones? So the two options of shirts that we have are on our website. They're being made by George, which is starting his own business, which is pretty cool. And he'll have a lot of different options at Quail Con as well. G. Rubin says, I've always thought about how great it would be to freeze dry lots of eggs. There you go. Andy Rabbit is in the house. With you not thinking there should be a standard on quail. I get it. I was thinking about trying to get my granddaughter to show them in 4-H. You got me second thinking that now. I understand that, and we do work with the 4-H. Again, I'm not going to... The way I look at it is I'm not going to discourage it. Like, if that's what somebody wants to do, makes sense. I do like it. I like the idea of the 4-H thing because more kids will get involved with it. I do like that. I'm just not really going to... I'm not going to... I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say support because I still help the 4-H kids, but I won't be a part of that standard just because of what I said earlier. I really like that they're kind of under the radar, and so, I've had a lot of people reach out and go, hey, you really should get on the news and have the news come out to your farm, and hey, what about Quail Con having the news come out? That's a great marketing idea. I like it grassroots. That's just the way I like it. Now, somebody might come by in the quail world and just blow it up and just exceed me and do things that I never imagined, and that's great. But as for me, I really like the grassroots because I'm terrified that the districts and the counties and the state and the federal government's going to go, oh wait, quail are like chickens. Okay, no more. No, you can't have quail anymore if you can't have chickens. So no males, because a lot of people can't have chickens in the city limits. And if they can have chickens, they're not allowed to have roosters, which kind of helps you not be self-sufficient. So I really like the fact that quail are just like, what are you talking about? They're pets. I don't know what you're saying, kind of thing. I'm sorry I said that. Essentially, Kimberly says, best place to get cages. I would highly recommend you check out Wynola Ranch, which is quailcage.com, or dalesquails.com. One is metal and PVC type cages, and one is wood, kind of like it's a similar style to how we built ours. Both are great companies. They're family owned and operated. Which I really like to sponsor and help out. So I love that aspect. They're both great people. Both of them will be sponsored here at Quail Con. Both of them help out with the 18 and under contest. And they're both great cages. Absolutely, they're both great cages. So I would check out both of those. I was going to do an aviary, but the monster 7-year-old is an issue. He let my last batch out and they flew away. This kid is killing me. I hear you. It's happened. I get it. S.O. Swanson says, can we learn to sniff test the eggs to see if they are fertilized? You can sure try. I haven't down that part. I can. I do have a special gift I've never told anybody. So when we're incubating, and then we're doing balutes, we candle the balutes and then take the ones that have developed, put them in, and then we ship those, send those out. And then the ones that aren't, we feed to the pigs or the dogs or the whatever. If you put 2 in my hand at the same time, right out of the incubator, I can tell you which one is fertilized and which one is not. Jenna thinks it's super weird, but I've never missed. I've done like over 200 of them that way. And then they'll double check me. And I've never been wrong. It's really weird. No one else has been able to do that I know of here. Well, I know that they haven't done it here. Maybe somebody else could do it. But I've got a gift. I've watched your All About the Colors videos many times, but my pearl looked more like a sparkly. Do pearls have more white feathers than sparklies? It could be a pansy fee. I would check that out. Glenn Wells says, hello from Southeast Missouri. Welcome. Just finished hatching today. 27 out of 31 eggs hatched. I have 90 eggs fresh enough to put in the incubator. Question, is it critical to sanitize the incubator before loading it tonight? Well, congratulations on the great hatch rate. That is awesome. I would say no. Now, it's a best practice to do that. But the reason I'm going to contradict myself here. The reason I'm going to say no is because you had a great hatch rate. And it sounds as though that nothing, you didn't have any smells or anything like that. So I would sanitize it after this round before you put them in. But you could go a couple rounds without worrying about it, especially if you don't have any issues and you get a good hatch rate. So I just let it go. Barbie says, if regular eggs rails like chicken eggs, will this affect hatching? Not 100% sure on what you mean there, but I'm going to assume if you want to do quail eggs and you've got the chicken egg rails, will it still work? We have done that before. It's worked fine. We haven't had a lot of issues. Obviously, it's not a best practice, but what you can do is take a little piece of paper towel and put that in the little hole of the chicken rail, and then put the quail egg in that, and then it will hold it in place, and that'll work fine for you. We did that when we started for a while. G. Rubin says, sniff test for fertilization won't work. You have to do the dip it in butter and lick it test. Has to be done within 18 hours of being laid. That's okay. Okay, don't try that. False Farm says, I meant like batches of amount of eggs to offer the stores, for example, 100, 500, 1,000, 1,500. What's industry standard? There's not one. There's not an industry standard. It really depends on who you're going to and what you're wanting to do. And, is it a small box, is it a small family store? Is it a small box store? Is it a medium box store? Is it a large box store? Are you talking to Costco or are you talking to, Grandma Ann's grocery store down the road? I mean, it's completely different where you go. And that you wouldn't really want to talk about it that way anyway. You'd start the conversations with, these are what I have. Let me know if you're interested, and then we'll talk about how many you would like and how many I can supply, and then we'll talk about price and we'll work something out. And then they'll come to you. You really want them to start the quantity and the price. If it's kind of like whoever talks first loses. If you say, hey, I can sell these to you for X amount, and they go, done. Okay, you way undersold. Like, you could have gotten a lot more money. But you could also say, hey, I can sell you each quail egg for $5 a piece. And they go, nope. And then that's it. Like, they won't even talk to you. You could come back and say, I meant 5 cents. And they'll go, no, we're done. So, you want them to mention the price first, as far as the quantity goes as well. Because they might be thinking that they want 10 dozen a day. And you might be thinking that they want, 1,000 dozen, and so you're giving the price based off of what you think that they need, and if that hasn't been discussed first, so that needs to be their start. Glenn Wells is not talking to me. Jennifer says, I have an 8x8 aviary and no quail. How many ideally can I raise, and ratios for males to females in an open setting? 5 hens to every 1 male. And 8x8 is 64. So you could even do 4, 5. You could do 5 or 2. You could have as many as 110, or you could have as little as as little as 20, 25. The aviary setting is not as detrimental, but still the 5-to-1 ratio is ideal. Texas Top Shelf Reptile says, day 16 here with Jumbo Egyptians from y'all. No babies yet. Thanks for all the info. Turning in to learn. Well, welcome. We're glad you're here, and hopefully they'll start hatching tomorrow. Best of luck to you, and if they're not, feel free to reach out, and we'll change some things and try to help you get those to hatch. But you're really not looking them to start hatching until about midday tomorrow. Jennifer says, where do you get your wire? Well, we've got it from a lot of different places, but this year we redid our cages and brooders, and we got them from, we found a place online called critterfence.com. They were very reasonable in the prices. I mean, it's still expensive, but it's expensive everybody. They were cheaper. Great quality, fast shipping. I really liked them. I've never spoke to them before. I don't know much about the company. I know that it's family owned, which is cool. But I don't know much about them. But I like the quality. We kept reordering. They were fast shipping, and yeah, it worked great. So critterfence.com. Alan says, praying for your strength and endurance as Quail Con approaches. Have fun. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Katrina says, we processed 29 jumbos this week. It's so much quieter at night out here. Kept 3 males and 15 females as new breeders. It's so much quieter out there. I bet so. Congratulations. Yeah, that'll quiet it up right there. Glenn talking to me. Texas Top Shelf Reptiles has just finished my 12x12 area. Very cool. Good luck to you, and sounds like a lot of fun. Foster Farm says, hit the like button, folks. Absolutely. Thank you very much. HJ says, thanks so much for the answers. I appreciate it. I'm sorry I have to leave early today. Thank you. Well, thanks for stopping by and asking the questions. Texas Top Shelf Reptile says, hope to have 200 babies by the end of the year. I think you can do it. I think that's reasonable. Andy Rabbit says, I agree with you. I just have my granddaughter show rabbits, then I do feel the same as you on the freedom of quail. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And yeah, it's just not, for lack of better words, it's not a rabbit hole I'm willing to go down. I just don't know what the end result would be with that. And the downside of that, the possibility of the downside of that is much more impactful than the positiveness. I do want kids to get involved. I want more people to know about quail, but not at the risk of, Hunter is in the house. What kind of water do you recommend for winter when it freezes? I guess it varies depending on where you're at. What we've done for years is just a bucket system. You fill up the bucket, it goes through the system, and we put a cow water heater in there. And a lot of people do that. It works for us for years, never had an issue. You can also put a bubbler in there for like an aquarium tank. It'll keep rotating the water so it doesn't freeze. So that's 2 options right there for you. G. Rubin says you can do quick sanitation with hydrogen peroxide spray. There you go. Jesse Mills says, I can tell the difference too, Zach. The non-developed eggs are lighter. They also have a slightly different sound on my dry, rough fingers. There you go. Benalla is in the house about quail feed. I have high protein feed, but I don't have any good layer feed. Can I make mine? You could, or I think it would be a lot easier to just do a general layer feed. That's all they need. Find a crumble, find a general layer feed. It'll work just fine for you. Foster Farm says, thank you for all the answers, Zach. Not a problem. Glad to help. Texas Top Shelf Reptile says, I am raising quail now. I have reptiles, mainly tegus, but I have several outlets for quail, so I'm going at it full speed. There you go. Yeah, I mean, you're already in one of those markets, so that's great. Congratulations and best of luck to you. S.O. Swanson says, 67 listeners, 38 likes. That does not compute. Could we get some more likes for the computation? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hit the like button, support the channel. Scriptures and Signs of the End finally made it to one. Well, thank you very much for showing up. I appreciate it. Jennifer's in the house. I'm at day 7 with the lower temp of 98. Turn up to 101.5 with the nurturite and continue on a schedule or adjust. No, continue on the schedule, but you'll probably need to leave them in lockdown for probably a couple extra days. I would assume day 798. I would assume they probably won't start hatching until day 18, maybe possibly day 19. They just haven't grown as quickly as they should have so far. But they'll still be okay, don't worry. Scripture and Signs of the End says, what's the latest I can order fertilized quail eggs? We ship all year long. We've got a specific system on how we ship eggs. So we change through the seasons. So we ship one way in winter, one way in spring, one way in fall, one way in summer. But we ship all year. Texas Top Shelf Reptile says, got the Wynola Ranch wire cage up the building 8 by 3 by 14, then built the aviary all in about 3 weeks. Congratulations, that's a lot of work. Built an incubator and a brooder. Tell Papa the Builder thank you. Watched a lot of his. Well, thank you very much, and I'll let him know. Homecack says, missed my question. It was about fertilizing females with male foams possible. I did not see that question, but if you could ask that in a different way, because I don't. It was about fertilizing females with male foams possible. I'll stay on for a couple more minutes, Hongkak. If you could reword that question, I'll be happy to try to answer it for you, but I don't necessarily know what that means. But I did not see it, I'm sorry. But I'll be happy to answer it. David says, do I have to have an egg turner if I'm incubating 50 or more eggs? And if they have to be turned, what should I do? It is best practice to turn for sure. Every once in a while you can get away with it and not affect anything. That's not a huge deal. But it's a best practice to do that, to have an egg turner. If not, you can hand turn them about 2 to 3 times a day. I guess it depends on the incubator that you have too. If you don't have a turner, then I would recommend not turning them at all and letting them be the entire time. You have a chance of a couple of them not developing fully or coming out deformed. You will have a chance for that. But opening the incubator multiple times a day, you'll have a chance of not having any hatch. So I would just let them go, and you should get the majority to do just fine. With the latest, we just answered that. Texas Top Shelf Reptiles just donated $2. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We'll put that towards the 18 under contest. Jennifer says, thanks for all the help from a newbie. Well, not a problem. Thanks for asking, and thanks for being here. Katrina says he's talking about artificial insemination, like squeezing the foam out of the males and transferring it to the girls. Why would you want to do that? You could. You could. I would never do that. That's a lot. I wouldn't do it. Like squeezing, my fertilized rate was half since I had to call my aggressive male. It's 10 hens to 1 male. I mean, if you're really worried about that, either get another male or put them in a separate cage, put 5 hens in the morning, and then switch them out at night, put the other 5 hens in. The male will do them all. He'll fertilize all of them. But if they're all in there at the same time, then he'll probably fertilize the same one twice, like he typically will have his favorites. But if you've got a small separate cage next to it, just take 5 of the hens, put them in the other cage, and then when you feed and water in the morning, you've got those 5, and then at night, when you go check on them or feed and water them again or whatever the case may be, take those 5 hens out, put the other 5 in, and that would be a lot faster, easier, and cleaner to do it that way. You could. I don't know why you would. But that's how I would do it. G. Ruben says, or maybe bring the hen to the roo in a completely different cage for a few minutes. See, there you go. It's kind of the same thought that I had. Here's the thing with the artificial insemination. I don't have facts on this. It's just my opinion. So I'm just going to throw that out there before anything else. If you're going to do that, that's a lot of, handling them for a second is not the end of the world. But when you're handling them, you're flipping them upside down. The males, not that big of a deal. They'll get over it. The hens, they get real stressed out. And when you hold them, especially when you flip them over like this, a lot of them will overly stress and start to prolapse just a little. Now it goes back in. It's not the end of the world. But the more stress you put on the hens every day like that, the less they're going to lay, the less they're going to feel safe, the more they're going to be agitated. And I just think long term, I don't think that's a good call. Now, moving them from cage to cage every day, I think would be just fine. You could even do that every 1 or 2 days. Wouldn't be the end of the world. G. Ruin says, Zach, can you clarify what you mean when you say the male will do them all? I said that. That's how I said it. Honkak says, just didn't want to waste my efforts when I put the eggs in incubators and waste half of my batch, even though I throw them to my chickens to eat. I would, that's how I would do it. I mean, you could, to me, getting a half hatch rate would be worth spending the time doing all that. The AI thing. Like, that's just a lot of work all the time. So I'd rather just get half the eggs to hatch, and then as soon as you hatch your next batch, you'll for sure hatch out at least another male, put that male in there, and then you're back to normal. So, but, I mean, to each its own. I mean, there's many different ways to raise quail. There's not one right way. That is all of the questions. Hi, everyone. I think I'm late. I lost track of time. Well, thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. We're about to get off. Thank God nobody mentioned the turkey baster. Oh, dear God. Yeah, right? So, everybody, thank you very much. Oh, I did tell you, it's getting dark out. I don't know if we can see it. So, I'm going to get you off of here, and we're going to go outside, and I'll try to show you. Ed Got Bait donated. Me and the family went on a vacation, and we went to Virginia, and Ed Got Bait was in Virginia. What are you doing on there? You're not supposed to be on there. Hey, get down. Get down. Get down. Get down. Come on. All the way. Thank you. That's a good boy. I gotta put him in or he'll get back on there. Hold on. I will show you something for Quail Con in just a second, I promise. That's a good boy. All right, so he was about 35, 40 minutes away from where we went to vacation, so he donated this huge tent that I put in the middle of my yard. and that is going to be the lunch tent for Sunday, which is pretty cool. I'm hoping to go. What I really should do is when I'm getting done with stuff on my list, just do a quick video and show you the things that we're working on. So all of our trash, spare stuff, extra, you know, whatever is going in that trailer, and then I'll be taking the trailer to the dump late this week because I got to go pick up some tables and chairs and store them in there. Yeah, so you can see the quail barn behind me, and then right in front of that is going to be the massive tent for everybody. That's where we're going to have the speakers at on Sunday, and that's where we're going to have the dinner at on Saturday night. Obviously, we'll be doing tours of the barn inside, and then I don't know if you can see. So, yeah. So you see where the trampoline is, then you see where the clubhouse is that I built that the kids don't even use. It's very depressing. Right next to that is where the hog roast is. So that'll be pretty cool. And then I have not cleaned up my mess. I just put that together today. But right on the sides of the tent, on both sides, will be the vendors. So when you guys are eating, the vendors will be right here. And then over here, I don't know if you guys care, but I'm just showing you now anyway. It's such a big tent. My God, it was so hard to put up, but me and Papa the Builder finished it up right before I came live. Okay, so you see that big white building way in the back? It's really not as far away as it looks on here, but there's a little empty field path yard right in front of that. That's where the obstacle course is going to go. The bouncy house obstacle course is going to go. Oh, I just tripped. Oh, and then where my truck is and where Jenna's Prius is, that's where the butcher session is going to go for the butcher experience, which is going to be pretty cool. I also think that that's where they're putting our feed expert is coming on Saturday and Sunday as a vendor and a speaker. So he'll be selling the feed and all that stuff as well, which is pretty cool. And then right back there, which took me 3 days last week, you can see a straight shot right through is the field that we'll be camping in. Actually, I'll show you real quick. I'll probably do a video on it as well, but I'll show you real quick while we're out here. But it took me 3 days to mow that entire field because I had to do it with the tractor. And I just I didn't think it was gonna take that stupid stinking long, but I did get the field mowed, and it really does look really nice right now. I'm hoping that I didn't do it too early. I think that I might have to re-mow it for the camping area, but as far as the parking goes, I just don't. I don't think I'm. Well, there's a little pig. See the pig? Hey, what are you doing? Why are you out here? You need to go home. I got a pig. So this is the field. And I don't know if you can see, probably can't. I was gonna show you one more thing, but what are you doing? I've got more pigs out. Okay, well, that is all I've got. I've got to get some pigs inside. So, look at those pigs run. Hey, get back here. Do not go that way. Okay, so everybody, thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. And I'm gonna spend an hour trying to get these pigs back in the back field. I don't even know how you got out. Okay, thanks everybody. We'll see you next week.